And we have, so I will come back to the comment. First, let me, yes, David.
Hello, thank
Hello.
you. Thanks again. Happy Father's Day.
Oh, thank you. Same to you.
Yeah, yeah, to all the fathers, past and present, lineage. Um, yeah, beautiful talk this morning and prescient. Um, yeah, could you speak more of just getting sort of caught in uh, the trap of the thief, the thief of the self? That yeah. Um, because it's interesting. I can see it, and then the seeing becomes discursive thought. Because then I'm like, oh, I'm seeing it rather than experiencing it and just resting in the presence of this. Uh, and it feels like torture to me. um, uh, because yeah, I can see it, and I start to again. It becomes wavy. The experience, and then the small self wants to just reify it and again regain some ground. And I'm just finding myself stuck. I'm like, I don't know if I'm afraid. Yeah, there's fear, there's sadness, there's, uh, yeah, I guess, yeah. If you could say more, I mean, I could do more practices. You mentioned Vipassana. I've done that. I do a lot of Buddhist, Tibetan Dzogchen practice, Mahamudra, and it helps. But there seems to be something more of that perceptual shift that you're speaking of. That I know it's gradual, incremental. It, builds, and it's a process. Uh, but it does seem torturous to me. Just again, the constant sort of catching it and then getting stuck. It's like I'm in molasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So you see, what happens is that we have invested too much in the thief since the very beginning, in the sense of separation, which we thought would ideally serve us and, help us navigate this whole life. Now, as a child, the separation comes up because that is required for survival and, uh, you know, to help distinguish between things. However, when it expands in time, as I am this and I'm that, there are associations that go deep into our psyche. And I think you probably better know this process, this whole process of the psyche. From what I've seen is the problem is that the thief is trying to perfect its art, you see. It's like we get so invested in this whole thing that we start seeing getting swayed into thinking as a failure, as a personal failure. Because we start evaluating this whole idea of practice to perfect oneself or to attain an image that we think is ideal in our mind. So, what we do is like we assign goals just like we do in our regular life. I have to do this, I have to, you know, my work, my life. The more effort I put, the better I become. That is true. But when it comes to knowing your own nature, effort does not help. So when people do practices, if too much effort is being put into the practice, at some point the mind will become frustrated. The mind will become even more upset with the practices. And it will be like, I'm doing all of this. But yet, when the time comes, and something happens and I get riled and I have an outburst, I feel that I'm a complete failure. I was I was told a story by my teacher about a girl who was with the spiritual community for 15, 16 years, something. And one day she had an altercation with her boyfriend, and it was, it became nasty. And in the end, she just uh, she just barged the door in anger, said horrible things, and left. And then she came uh, to her teacher and said, "Look what I have done. My whole 17 years of practice is a waste. Now look at this ego, look at this separation, what it does. Through all of that practicing and attending spiritual talks, it is constantly evaluating itself to become better. It will like, this is going to free me. This is going to make me better so that next time I'm in such a situation, a reaction will not happen." But what is happening? Completely caught up in the doership. It's like I'm not progressing. This whole movement, I'm not becoming, I'm not unbecoming, my patterns are not going. What's the big deal if we get lost in the pattern? It's not a personal failure. And yes, sometimes a reaction may also happen. But you see, when it is understood that there is no separate practitioner apart from the practice, and practices are just happening, there is a perception shift. The mind is no more that focused, that centered around trying to attain an outcome. So when I'm relaxed about it, okay, if it happened, it happened. If I
Mm.
get swayed into thinking, it happened. It doesn't mean there is a there is it doesn't mean there is a failure, because there is no person practicing or doing anything. It is simply all happening. And again, I would say, like a quote from the Bhagavad Gita, which says that there are innumerable forces acting on a human organism. So the Bhagavad Gita says ego deluded thinks of itself as the doer. I am the one practicing meditation. I must achieve this outcome. I have control over my senses. No, sometimes there won't be any control over my senses. You know, David, I'll tell you one thing. When I was reading Talks with Sri Ramana Maharishi, it's a big book, I noticed that in some questions, Ramana Maharishi remained silent. He did not answer. And this was an amazing revelation for me, that we don't have to be know it all.
Mm.
It is okay to not know. It is okay to not answer. And sometimes when somebody tries to provoke us into a debate, it is okay to just be quiet. Now the ego comes up and it says, no, that's a defeatist attitude. You must fight. So, see what the mind is doing. It is trying to engage. So this is how the mind starts, the separative mind starts gaining strength. Engagement, engagement, because engagement leads to entanglement. And that is the whole purpose of the separative mind, the thinking mind I'm talking about. But when this mind is not given too much attention, then automatically it starts to, these patterns begins to fall apart. And even if once in a while we do get swayed into a thought, a feeling, or a reaction happens, It is completely accepted. All right.
Thank you. That helps. One of the things that just popped off for me, lots of teachers tell me just relax, release, rest. And, Papa G famously said that to Gangaji, and I was like, yeah, easier said than done. But just you saying this now, it's like, um, it's just happening. I want to, I want to do something about it, effort it, fix it, rather than release, rest, and really just allow. I mean, I'm so afraid of that. It's like I just don't trust it, and I'm not sure. Again, being psychoanalytically trained, trauma, birth trauma, all of this is just a story. But it's like just that mere thought of just resting, relaxing, and releasing scares the shit out of me. I'm like, what am I so afraid of? I mean, obviously, the ego then is letting go of control, mastery, and like you said, knowing whatever that gives me, power, so on and so forth. But it's like, wow, just rest, relax, and release. But man, that is so scary.
Yeah.
So thank you. I mean, this really popped something for me. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I would just add one more line to that. This is a phase where eventually the consciousness will shift, and it will shift from who is trying to control. Right now, there is a frustration as to I must not let go, which is fine. That's where you are right now. That's precisely where you're right now, and it's fine. But this perception usually does shift. And I can tell you because I have been through this process. This process comes up where one does not want to let go of control because that's what we have been taught. We have to control. If we let go of control, things will be in disarray. But you know what? If you look around, things already are in disarray and it's all fine. All right. Thank you, David.